Hello, Nollywood fans, lovers,
you know the part of
casual viewers, and Waka Pass people. It's Mimi here from the Exploring Nollywood podcast. And with me is my co-host,
Toni.
It's Antonia, she's here. And today we're talking about action movies. Yes, we finally got into the Ghen-Ghen parts of Nollywood.
They're called Ghen-Ghen movies.
The Ghen-Ghen movies, the one with guns, fists, high kicks,
Wow.
etc., etc., etc. But before we start talking about that, what's an action movie?
So I think it's what I would define it as, or Google, I guess, defines it as a series of events that involve violence and physical feats. So you will usually have a resourceful hero or a hero. They're not always resourceful.
Sometimes that's
let's make it very clear. But they're just the main part, the protagonist,
who usually has martial arts background.
Some of them think they do, but they don't.
Okay, you were saying?
You usually have a villain or a series of villains. It's not always a person.
It could be an organization.
It can be an organization. It can be just the situation that you're in.
Could it just be the entire country of Nigeria?
Basically, the same way poverty can be your evil stepmother, anything can be a villain. But throwing it back, guys, to the romance romance episode. Go and listen to that. That's one of my favorites. Actually.
I do like it. We were on form for that.
We were. So you might have life-threatening situations or incredible odds. So yes, that is the action genre.
Okay, I actually thought there was going to be more to it.
No.
Like, shouldn't there be a requirement for a fight?
I said physical feats. And also I did mention violence.
None of those say fights to me.
What is a fight if not a physical feat that is violent? A violent physical feat.
Okay, I guess.
Google fight, Miriam.
I'm very sure that's what... I don't know, when I think of action genre, I just always think of conflict. Well, I guess every single genre has conflict.
Yes, Miriam.
But I just think of physical conflict. I always think that a fist must hit somebody's face.
No.
For it to be action.
I completely disagree. So some of the times where you're using juju to fight, I think that's also action.
That's not an action movie. No.
What is it?
It's a juju movie.
A juju movie can be an action movie, Miriam.
How can it be?
An action movie can have juju in it, and a juju film can have action in it.
No, but an action movie is an action movie. It's not a movie that has some action in it. Every movie has some action in it. But most movies have actions in it. But for it to be an action movie, there needs to be someone with a particular set of skills that makes achieving a goal easier. I just feel like there should be some kind of fight. I think when I think of an action movie, not just a Nollywood action movie, I think of it as someone, a lone hero or heroine, fighting against something. So for me, there needs to be that fight. Otherwise, what's the point?
It doesn't have to be a physical fight.
Well, how else would it? What's ill? An intelligence battle? That's not an action film. That's just a very boring film. Like, if they're not doing physical feats, as you said.
That's what I said,
I'm just saying that I feel like the definition is a bit lacking.
Your definition is a bit lacking.
I just feel like for an action movie to be an action movie, someone needs to be fighting against something. It could be a corporation, it could be a person, it could be a villain. But I don't know. I just have an issue with definition, you know?
What more do you want, Miriam?
I want a better definition.
Find a better definition then.
Let's move on to types of action movies. I think when we discuss the history of Nollywood or the history of Nigerian cinema, Chinese movies at those times, in the earlier times...
I think Chinese is Kung Fu.
Let me get there.
Okay.
I think at those times, Chinese movies, a lot of movies are coming from China or Hong Kong where karate or Kung Fu.
Just say martial arts, so you cannot be racist today.
Okay, yes, martial arts. And I think we were influenced a lot by those because I've seen some old Nollywood movies and they be doing Kung Fu.
They be doing something.
So we were influenced by a lot of that.
But I think we do action movies well when we come away from that a little bit.
Yeah, I think that If we talk about the most successful genres in Nollywood, romance and action.
Action, you'd say, is the most successful next to romance.
It's not what we're known for, but we produce a lot of action movies.
Doesn't mean they're good.
But what are the types of action movies in Nollywood? What are the types of action movies?
So I have found action adventure, action comedy.
What is action adventure?
So action adventure is when there is like a journey. Something like if you're looking at in Hollywood, something like Rambo would be an action adventure film.
Really? Have I?
There's like 3 Rambo films.
They're like 5. I don't know. We don't
I think you're thinking Rocky, Marianne.
Oh, yes, I know.
It's the same person. And I'm pretty sure it's probably the exact same acting, but that's beside the point.
As if there's any acting going on.
Okay.
I'm
That's
just
not
saying.
okay.
Stray bullet to another
That's in the film.
No. What the hell's Rambo then?
There's not enough laughter to portray my amusement.
Wait,
right now.
So who's Rambo?
Sylvester Stallone, Marianne.
Are you sure
he's also Rocky.
Oh, okay. So who's Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Terminator.
Oh my god, there's so many.
That's so embarrassing for you.
It is actually. I'm a little embarrassed.
You should be very embarrassed.
Anyway, you were saying.
I am very embarrassed for you.
But we discussed adventure movies when we're talking about epics. I don't think you would find a modern epic. They're always traditional. Therefore, I count them as traditional. I don't think that's action.
The setting of it is what makes it an adventure film.
What do you mean? What's the setting?
So you can have an epic film that is an action film. Do you agree?
No. I think an epic film is always an epic film. At least in Nollywood.
I think we've discussed that all films, you can mix genres in films.
Yes.
Do you agree?
Yes, I agree that you can mix genres, but I don't like it.
That's a you problem. You can't just say, oh, I don't like it. Henceforth, this doesn't exist.
I'm just saying, yes, can you... I just feel like when it comes to action movies, and not an action movie, a Nollywood action movie, and I feel like conflicted with other things like epic just kind of ruins its purity.
Nothing is pure in Nollywood.
Jesus Christ. What the... Can we move on, please?
No! We must discuss this to the end because you seem to have a misconception as to how movies work.
I'm just saying. Action movie to me is JT Tom West or Sam Dede, usually portraying our police force as...
Does Sam Dede act in action movies, Mariam?
Yes.
Does he also act in an epic movie?
Yes.
Would you not count some of Sam Dede's films as action movies, even though they're set in historical times?
No!
That's stupid of you.
I don't even think there could be a historical action movie.
That's so dumb, Marianne! Because what did you say you wanted to be action, fight and physical conflicts? Yes?
Yeah, but...
Do we not have wars in those epic movies? Yes, we do. Henceforth, they are action movies.
You really like that word?
Yes, I do. And I don't think I'm saying it correctly either. But we move.
I'm just saying that, yes. Okay, what I'm saying is that there can never be a perfect 50-50 mix between genres. One genre is always going to come on top. So why don't we just classify it as that?
No.
People, please tell me in the comments or in messages to me personally.
Don't send her messages personally. She's going to lie about messages. Comment on it.
I just feel like there should be...
Purity? Not possible. Not allowed. Frankly, I feel like that would be hella boring.
I just think that we should keep the genres separate. But equal.
Separate but equal, Marianne. Wow.
I'm just saying we need to maintain purity of genres. Anyway, let's move on. What other genres are there? Before I end up cancelled.
You have action comedies.
Yes, I agree those exist. Action movies are funny.
Understand how silly you sound right now, Mariam. Please understand how silly you sound right now.
I don't know. But you agree that a comedy is different from an action comedy.
Yes.
Therefore, action
is also different from an action comedy.
But
it's a sub-genre of an action.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's a sub-genre.
That's what we're discussing. We're discussing subgenres of action, Marianne.
Okay, yes, that's true. You say my name a lot.
That's your name.
I'm just saying. Continue with the sub-genre. I think we should have made it clearer.
It was very clear. My emotions are all over the place.
Action comedy.
Shut up, Marianne! Action comedy. So an action comedy is something like Rush Hour or some of your body cop films. So I think when you're equating it to Nollywood, it would be something like Merry Men.
Yeah, I would agree.
Action horror. We don't do horror films in Nollywood.
I think we had an entire 2 episodes discussing horror movies. Juju and Jazz. Did we not agree that those were horror movies?
That's true.
Because if we discuss about the actual genre, the pure horror genre, removing Juju and Jazz, it'll be a very short episode, like 5 minutes.
We don't do.
And we try,
horror
but
very well.
Why are we talking about horror? We discussed all of this in the Juju and Jazz episode. The reason why we can't have a horror genre is because we're a very Christian/Muslim nation. So if you want to do something horror, everyone will ask, why don't you just go to church? Why don't you just get a powerful pastor? And then suspension of disbelief is God.
What about that?
Continue. So we have the thrillers. I'm not really sure what a thriller is and what an action thriller would look like.
I will consult the Wikipedia.
You know, Wikipedia is not all that reliable.
I will consult the Wikipedia.
What is thriller itself?
I think thriller is to do with the mood that you feel when watching a film. Thrillers are characterized and defined by the moods they elicit, giving their audiences heightened feelings of suspense, excitement, surprise, anticipation, and anxiety. A lot of your horror films are thrillers. They might not be action thrillers, but they're still thrillers. Because thrillers is, oh my God, you're rushing to this place to do this thing. Will they get there? Will they not get there? Oh my God, there's a lorry. Will the lorry hit them? That's a thriller. And then you have your vigilante actions. I think I'd go immediately to a Nollywood film. So like something like Issakaba is a vigilante action film. And then finally your disaster action films, which we don't have in Nollywood.
We did. There's a film called Kayola.
What is that?
It's a sci-fi film.
Nope.
It's a
Nope.
It's a disaster film anyway.
Nollywood does sci-fi now. Sci-fi, Marianne.
Yeah.
Expanded to science fiction. No.
Don't be mean.
No.
But
you can't have jazz and sci-fi in the same setting.
Okay, when it comes to Nollywood action movies, pure, I think we have our own genres like that specific to us. So you have gangs and this is according to Ulama 2018. Someone studied this, y'all, and I love them for it. So when it comes to Nollywood, you have gangs and hooliganism. Now, Ulama actually shows that the increase in action movies in Nollywood isn't as I thought from the kung fu martial arts movies, but rather when they started banning films about rituals, then almost immediately the action movie genre in Nollywood sprang up. And obviously, as we all know, the country is not great. People are unhappy, and I think that action movies sort of work as some sort of fantasy for Nigerians, because in an action movie, the police is not corrupt and useless.
Some of them are.
Well, some of them are, but there's always somebody that's seeking justice, and at the end, justice is found, which is sort of a fantasy for ordinary Nigerians. The police there's a government agency that is doing its work well. There are people that are dedicated to it. The protagonist can be someone from that agency, FBI, SWAT, whatever it is that the security agencies are called in Nigeria. SARS?
I freaking hope not.
Anyway, so that is when somebody is combating against armed robbers or is about armed robbers. So we have our old school Nollywood movies like State of Emergency, which has our hero being a policeman taking down an armed robbery gang. Not an armed robbery gang, an assassination gang.
That film is ridiculous. I haven't watched it, but what I've read of it, kind of ridiculous.
No, what I'm
but
saying
then
is
it's awful that I read about it was somebody else that found it ridiculous and emphasized the ridiculousness of it.
No.
So I am biased.
No, but what I'm saying is that it's a fantasy. The idea that this one lone policeman who has a particular set of skills is able to, overcome these armed groups, and justice at the end, justice is delivered. The groups are arrested / killed. It's just pure fantasy, I think, for the Nigerian psyche, the people that are going to see this film. So as I said, you have the gangs and hooliganism subgenre, which is about, people forming gangs. So either the gangs are good or bad, but people forming gangs, people, committing crimes, etc., etc. And then when we get to speaking about Nollywood movies, we would actually start to mention what genres these fall under. So as I said, gangs, groups, fighters, a lone person against the world, or in a criminal situation, somebody investigating a crime. Then we have the opposition to exploitation genre, especially when it comes to the Niger Delta and oil. Films like Black November, Oloiburu deal with this kind of opposition to exploitation by either the government or a foreign power, or just this rich man that wants to get richer, and them fighting against the exploitation of natural resources. And I said, usually in the Niger Delta. And of course, this mirrors real life. And it's just how we wish that things would happen. We wish that, when Shell is exploiting the Niger Delta, when the different foreign companies are exploiting natural minerals, when our government and our community leaders are selling us out, we wish that there would be a group of people or a person that will rise up against them, fight and win. And then we have vigilantism, which is very close to what I just said, where this group of people are going around forcefully doing good.
Do you agree with vigilantism?
In principle, no, but I do think that in a lawless country like Nigeria has a lot of laws actually. In a country where laws are not being followed, that's the only resource that people have. Otherwise, what's the whole point? What's the whole point of living? If you cannot call upon your community leaders or the people in the community that are meant to keep you safe, if they're the ones harming you, you have no other choice but to start to protect yourself and protect those around you. So do I agree with it? No, but I do recognize that in some situations, there's no other choice but for someone to become a vigilante. You're telling me that somebody kills my family member and I will see them living well? No! I'm going to Liam Nielsen, learning some skills, and then I'm going to revenge. Or just poison them, I don't know.
See, that's revenge. That is not vigilantism.
Okay, what's vigilantism according to you?
Vigilantism, according to me, is like you say, they're going around and they're like, to me, they are putting on their version of the law.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. If no one is following the law, first of all, why respect it? Second of all, why can't I have my own version of the law that will benefit me and the people around me?
But revenge only benefits you, not the people around you.
Well, I might not be getting revenge for myself. Maybe I'm getting revenge for this widow in the community that her husband has died because of some nefarious activity, and now she has to take care of her 7 children. And I'm like, no, this is not right. You took a good man from his family. Anyway, I'm just saying that I think in these 3 subgenres of Nollywood action movies, we see a lot of fantasy and we see a lot of wish fulfillment, which is really sad. Now, let's move on to talk about notable actors in the genre.
Sam Dede,
of course. Sam Dede always gave it to us, and he's still giving us some good acting performances. He's a veteran that's always booked and blessed.
What's something recent that he's been in?
Brotherhood.
I haven't seen that film.
So of course there's Sam Dede, there's JT Tom West, R.I.P. Love that. He was in State of Emergency. Then we have Saint Obi, of course. Then we have
Centobi was in an action movie. I won't call him a notable
no,
action
he wasn't.
actor.
No, he was a notable action actor. He used to act in a lot of action movies, but he was just better known as the lover boy.
So that makes him a notable romance actor, not a notable.
He was a notable action actor. What? Centobi in that his brown suit?
That suit was not brown. It was taupe, which is not a thing that actually anybody should wear on their body.
With that his brown
taupe
suit,
belongs on furniture only.
He was always the noble police officer or the lone man against the system. I loved Centobi when in both roles. And then we talk about Gentle Jack, of course.
I love Gentle Jack.
Gentle Jack
has done it all.
Yeah, well,
and I love him for it.
I think he was so buff in those days. What was he eating? What was he doing?
Fufu.
Do you think he can get head
fufu and carrying block?
He can get head chop fufu? I don't know, man. It's so heavy.
Eating fufu and carrying block.
I'm so ignorant. And then we have Hans Anuku. Hans Anuku was always the bad guy. Hans Anuku was always the bad guy, kidnapping the president's daughter, which is access.
The accent. Or he was some sort of tout.
Or he was
like a gang leader.
And then with his hats and his cigarettes.
Oh yes.
That is what I define as action.
Hans Anuku is not doing well.
Yes, I am. Apparently he's gotten better, and we were very glad to hear it.
Praying for him.
Yes. Don't do drugs, kids. And then we have, would you agree with this, Chidi Mokeme?
No.
Chidi Mokeme was very action focused in the beginning of his career. In the beginning of his career, he was very action focused. Again, the president's daughter, the president must die, etc. But now, who would you class as some actors that are becoming notable for their action movies?
I mean, we discussed Toni Bakare
last episode. Toni Bakare. This why Tommy, yes or no?
She has been in one action film.
She was in Set It Off. She was in Set It Off 2. She was in Gangs of Lagos. I think she's pretty well known for her action movies. I would say Adesua Tommy is pretty up there.
No.
Okay.
No, I would disagree with that.
Oh. I don't know.
I feel like the way new Nollywood is now is, yes, you have actors that are like not specialists, but like they are good in certain roles.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they are a lot more diverse as actors and actresses now than they were previously.
I agree.
Where they're not as like
constrained,
tightly typecast as they would have been. So the same way you'd see Toni Bakare in an action film, you also see him as a lover boy in a romance. You also see him in a campus film. If they do those anymore, y'all should do more campus films, and do them right. There, I said it.
But then, would you think that because less films are being produced, there's less of a chance for that kind of typecasting?
That's true. Yeah.
All right, before we get to new Nollywood, I know we just started talking about it, let's talk about some notable old Nollywood film. Films. Old Nollywood action films that gave us the gas. Films that was like, woo!
So one of them is Rattlesnake. I think it's Rattlesnake 1, 2, and 3. Because you find that a lot of these, I've noticed that a lot of these action movies, they have multiple parts. 2, 3, 4. But in their defense, you have almost the exact same thing in Hollywood.
That's true. That is true. When it comes to action
movies, all they need to do is introduce a new bad guy, and you can have 10 Fast and Furious films.
I don't know.
I will never be okay with that, Miriam.
I think I will class Fast and Furious movies as fantasy. So yes, there's Rattlesnake, which everybody knows.
So Rattlesnake has Francis Duru, Nkem Always in it, and Ernesto Bean. So it's essentially a man that is both a respectable businessman, but he's also an armed robber, because his uncle stole his father's property. Oh, yeah. We have State of Emergency, which I love, I remember, which stars Saint Obi, of course, and Sam Dede. And Saint Obi is a police officer that used to belong in the Special Forces.
that has to solve a series of assassinations of important people's children, and it turns out it's his old team. You know the usual action trope.
And then the one, the only Issakaba.
Yeah.
Issakaba. Issakaba.
Oh my god. Issakaba 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay. There's not 6 Issakaba movies.
I swear there's 6 Issakaba movies.
Maybe that's how they come up on YouTube.
Okay, that's true. But oh my god, Issakaba tripped me with Sam Dede. God, it
Amechi Monagu was in that film. Chinwe Talagu, Peter Ene.
Very.
I only recently realized that they were using jazz in that film.
Yeah, that's where Ode she comes from, because they use jazz to fortify themselves. Therefore, when they shoot the bullet at them, the bullets do not touch.
Ode she. Do you know how much we rinsed that in school?
Oh my god!
When they flag you like Ode she, they flag you Ode she. A cultural moment for us all.
No, Issakaba came and
There's 4 Issakaba films.
Really? Where did I get the other 2 from?
Don't know for you.
And there was Issakaba in the jungle, Issakaba in the forest. There were different Issakabas in different settings.
Different settings.
No, but they.
I should rewatch. I don't know if I want to rewatch it though.
No. I feel like the effects and the things that wowed us then
won't wow us as much.
That's
anymore.
the problem of old Nollywood, because when you have a well-made old Nollywood movie, unfortunately,
it might not translate. But then it's the same with Hollywood
movies. Yes, I know. But as you know, on social media especially, we are more likely to mock old Nollywood movies. I mean, some of them deserve to be mocked. Some of them deserve to be mocked, but some don't. We have Vuga with a baby Jim Ike and Gentle Jack. Remember Most Wanted? It was the one where they were females and dressed as men.
Oh, which is essentially, I think it's
a rip-off. Set It Off, yes. And Bobby Manuel was there. And then the thing I most remember about that thing was that one of them uses her gun to clean off her mustache. No, it's on purpose. That's how Bobby Manuel, because Bobby Manuel is, as I said, that policeman that's doing his job well. Fantasy. That policeman that's doing his job well, and he wants to catch this gang of robbers, and it turns out his girlfriend is one of them.
Oh my!
Yes, and it is one of Genevieve's early projects. I think
it's her first.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what it said. It's the first movie that
she was very good in that. I knew she. Not like I knew she was going to be a star. What did I know? I was a child. Well, yes, she was very good in that. There were lots of action movies, and there are so many to name, but we're just naming the most.
I think it sort of it reads towards that we didn't watch a lot of action films, or we weren't really exposed to a lot of action films. Yes, it was more like your romance and your
also, I had the rule, and I still have a rule. If there are too many men in a film, I'm not watching. I'm sorry, it's gonna be boring. Most of the action movies is mostly men. The man is the protagonist taking down another man, or another gang of men taking down another gang of men. I'm not interested, fam. Give me the romance. Give me the women. As a woman, I want to see female representation in Nollywood. That's actually a joke. We have a lot of female representation.
Yes, but doing what though?
Yes. But that's why I stand at this why Toni. Because
she has done it all.
And she's really doing it for action. Now let's talk about the new Nollywood movies. First, we have Oloibiri, which I've already mentioned, which is a tale of a community rising up against the exploitation of their natural resources. We have Brotherhood, which stars Fowls. I can't believe you haven't watched it. It stars Fowls and Toby Bakare as two brothers on the opposing sides of the law. Fowls is a SWAT officer. No, he's very believable in it.
No. I will never ever question Fowl's acting chops. I love the guy.
Yes, he acts.
The idea of it, hilarious to me.
Okay.
Because the way the country is set up, you go to do your SWAT and half of your equipment is missing.
Indeed, that's what I think. I just want to believe that there are like Nigerian special forces that they send to special elite missions. I actually think that there is. Not believe. I think that there is. I believe that there's talent in the country, and I believe it's being not utilized well. Not for the common people, but I'm sure like the government, I'm sure that government people, you know, high-ranking people in the society, they have special forces and bodyguards that can do the with the guns and the things. It's just not for the normal people and the majority of Nigeria. No. And then we have the Rattlesnake remake, which I actually haven't watched. It's on Netflix. Directed by Ramsey Noah, so it's gonna be good.
I heard it's not as good as the original, but not many things are.
Not many things are. The originals are the originals for a reason. You can't really emulate it. That being said, Living in Bondage did blow my mind a little bit. That's true. But these originals are nostalgic favorites. It will never be as good. And then we have Merry Men 1, good. Merry Men 2,
unnecessary. I haven't watched it, but I know that.
I have. But that would be an action comedy. We have Kwam's Money, action comedy, very nice. Set Up. And would you say King of Boys?
I would say King of Boys is an action. I think it's an action thriller.
I think it has to do with gangs and hooliganism. But I think most new Nollywood movies are less focusing on the vigilantism and more on, you know, gangs, armed robbery. There's this really nice movie called The Trade, which is about the kidnapper Evans. It's mostly focused on gangs, armed robbery, you know, just creating that whole.
I think it's when you mention, even though you mention fantasy, I think they still try and base it in reality as well.
Well, the criminal part is right. It's just that the resolution isn't.
No, the resolution.
So it's a bit of a problem. And then you have the special films, which are like Oloiburu, I'm so sorry, and Black November, which is more like exposing exploitation and that. But what do you think is the future of action movies in Nollywood?
I think the more we try and emulate Hollywood, which I think is the direction that we're going, I think that will benefit industry. But I think we need to be very careful of the stories that we're telling.
What does that mean?
So we need to keep like what you were mentioning about how you mentioned about how like the riots and the gangs and the crime and things is fairly grounded in reality, but the resolution is fantasy.
Yeah.
I think we need to keep with those kind of stories because the first part of it is grounded in reality. So there's a lot of people that will relate to it. If you start bringing up when you start bringing up random Hollywood ideas,
you know, like
that don't translate,
like Rambo.
What would that even look like, please?
A lone man. Special forces.
So it's sort of like, and I mean, the thing is, we'd be able to do that.
Yeah.
In Nollywood, but it depends on how you tell the story. It depends on how you portray it. So if you're doing like a like for like with something in Hollywood, it's not going to come across very well. So something like what is it like the one with Centobi,
State of Emergency.
State of Emergency. It's not grounded in reality.
No. But I think I think in those days it was more about, you know, importing ideas from Hollywood.
Yeah.
Again, like the way they did it without the budget or the thoroughfare or the technology, but still thrilling us. The technology, we have the cinematography, we have the choreography. Well, I want to see two things. I want to see more Nigerian stories, more Nigerian action stories. Like, for example, why can't we develop our own style of martial arts or our own style of violence, our own style of action? So, for example, if you see in Gangs of Lagos, you have them holding things like machetes and that. I feel like that is more natural than, say, hand-to-hand combat. And like, so in Shantytown now, while we were tripped by the martial art, not a lot of people...
It didn't feel
believable. It didn't feel real. So that's what I want to see. I also want to see more films like where they create their own worlds. Like, as we said, some things are grounded. There are issues that common Nigerians face. But I want to see them develop more of an identity that is less Hollywood lights and more Nollywood.
I mean, I think it's we can talk about things like, you know how in Hollywood they'd make up a whole new town.
Yeah.
They'd make up a whole new set of rules for that town. They'd make up a whole new set of the whole new type of people, a whole new type of... I think we should be trying to do that same kind of thing in Nollywood.
Yeah.
Instead of it being, this is a town that we know of in Lagos.
Yeah, the people in
Issakaba different.
Issakaba, they protested massively about gangs of Lagos.
Did they?
Yes, they did not enjoy their place being portrayed in that manner.
There you go.
But what I do like about the genre is there is often a lot of political nuance to it. Yeah. They're often talking about our leaders who treat us for bad. They're often talking about our leaders, what they do. They send their children abroad. In Shantytown, they blow up communities and then use it as their base.
Yeah.
So I do think that I really like that about the genre more than any other genre.
Yeah.
Actually does reflect the reality and actually tries to do something to change it, however unrealistic we might find it. But you never know. A Nollywood film might inspire somebody to be like, I want to be a police officer. And then, you never know, there might be a squad of police officers that are elites that believe in the good of the country, that have not been ground down by the system, and things might change. That is the power of media. Alright, thank you for joining us on this very chaotic episode. As you can see, we don't know a lot about action movies, man. We do not. And as I said, my rules still stand. If there are too many men, I'm not watching. Thank you for listening. Please, 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 don't cancel me over some remarks I made. And tell us your favorite action movies. We missed a lot. Tell us which ones we missed, please. Any last words from you?
No.
Okay, bye.
Bye.